What?
Yeah,
Oh,
so he will do it
okay, he wants me to read this. Welcome to the All American Otaku Show, is that right? Okay, don't kill me. Thank you. Bye.
That's so good.
All American Otaku, join the ride, jumping in where the stories collide. From the screen to the song, this is where we belong. All American Otaku, let's come alive. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the All American Otaku Show. This episode is about Hell's Paradise, both season 1 and season 2, where it's left off, where it could go into the future, and who are the characters. This takes place in the shogunate time period of Japan, a time period where the warlord or the main military leader, the shogun, was in charge, while the emperor had more of a political power and more spiritual power. Because in old Japanese mythology or Japanese belief in Shinto believes that the emperor is a descendant of Amaterasu, a embodiment of the goddess or a god themselves. While Hell's Paradise goes into the idea there were still samurai executioners, ninjas, and so forth. The idea of where feudalistic Japan is very similar, not all the way similar to what we call medieval times in Europe, where there were, instead of knights, there's samurai. Instead of assassins or rogues, there's none other than ninja and shinobi. Instead of an emperor, Europeans had a king. But this episode focuses on one shinobi in particular, Gabimaru, who was a shinobi who got tired of the idea of shinobi life and wanted to settle down with his wife, a wife with a scar who was also the daughter of the head of the ninja clan. They didn't want to lose him because he was a productive and sometimes would fight emotionalist. The idea that he would give everything away for this wife, a wife he eventually he calls an idiot and not really all that smart, but there is love there, there's tenderness there. They love each other, they support each other, and they look after what each other's ideals. But since he tried to escape with her, and he didn't, and the ninja head of the shinobi clan didn't want to kill his daughter, so he decides to kill him off in various different ways, like boiling him in oil, or burning, or crucifying, or what have you, all these different forms of execution. It gets to one failed attempt after another failed attempt after a failed attempt. They finally get an executioner named Yamada Asuman Sagori, who was a female executioner, where there was even the idea that says, why are you a samurai and why are you an executioner? You're a beautiful woman. You should go there and get married and have kids. Because that during this time, women were thought of to only purpose is to have kids and get married and fall in love and things like of that aspect. Not necessarily true or nothing necessarily what I believe, but that was what the belief was back then. So she goes in there and goes to try executing them. Eventually, they come to a mutual agreement that once a bird come there and said there's a pardon for him if he finishes his task. He goes into this area where he sees bunches and tons of various different criminals and things that are considered on death row by the shogunate and have you, and said they would get a shogunate pardon if they would go to this island and bring this elixir of immortality. Other exhibitions, they come there, people would come back looking all contorted and with flowers. And the one survivor come there and saying what was going on. He ended up dying very shortly after because of the flowers and the exposure of the island. They eventually go on this ship and head to the island where it ends up becoming a battle royale between prisoners and so forth. Everyone trying to kill each other and trying to get the upper hand to try to get this elixir. Eventually, the main character, Gabimaru, ends up working with his executioner, or Yamarada Sagari, and they end up coming to agreement is once they come in there and get this item, one saves the other's life and the other saves the other life, and they finally become almost friendship in a way. Not necessarily friends that she wouldn't execute him if given the order, but friendship to the idea that there's respect for each other. The more you go see this island with these beautiful flowers and these interesting creatures, as soon as these giant monsters appear, start stomping and destroying everything, and these bugs come in there and stinging people, causing flowers to burst out of them, and people dying in horrific ways, as well as becoming rivals. Eventually, people started teaming up and working with each other to find these elixirs. And then they eventually find even a deeper threat. These pretty beings that could be both male and female at any choice, called the Tensai. The Tensai in there have a devious plot. We don't find out until more of it into season one and around their season two what they do. They want to go there and they destroy and bring these people back with Kai to drain their abilities and drain them so they could create their variation of the elixir of life to prolong their immortality. These beings are both beautiful and fantastical, but they're as evil as the evil come. You find out some of their powers are created by intercourse. And there are some beings there, like this girl who starts out, comes from a kid to a full grown girl and stuff. They want to use her as sort of a conduit, which means a sex thing, to prolong their powers and strengthen their powers and recharge their power abilities, so to speak. She ends up teaming up with Gabimaru and Sagori, and to take down these beings, telling them more what's going on and things like that. They are more progressed to protect her as this wood being, as well as these people in the town in there, in this island, and going for the more underlanded plot. Eventually, some of the surviving criminals end up teaming up with each other with their executioner, and you find out one executioner that was with the criminal are actually brothers, and it's a plot to try to get them to escape and so forth. And one of that criminal ended up finding a way to become immortal himself. The idea he could regenerate through plants, and the idea he has his version of ki. Various of these characters have various different ki abilities, which in this world you would consider magic or energy-based attacks. They end up coming there in season 2. It goes, okay, we're going to team up and fight these things. Season 2 is more the lines of a continuation of season 1. They go there and fight these beings, finding a way off the island, find the elixir of life so they could get the pardons and bring it to the shogun and complete the mission. Meanwhile, back in Japan, the shogunate and the emperor decide to hire a group of more samurai, various different skilled samurai, some that were executioner types and so forth, and shinobi, to go where they feel the criminals failed and where the executioner, if anyone's alive. They were sent there to retrieve the elixir pretty much by force, by overwhelming numbers. Tons of ninja with various different abilities, tons of samurai with various different abilities, and some of them extremely cruel at what they do. There's one where they have find an immortal being, and they keep it alive by burning it, asking questions, burning it again, asking questions, thus torturing it to get information. There's even a scene on their boat on their way there where the leader of the shinobi is like, I will follow your orders, and they're so, oh, you'll follow any orders? This is what I think of shinobi. I want you to execute yourself in there. He stabs him with something in the throat, and he goes, okay, now you're in charge. And they come in there and says, okay, I'll work for you. And shinobi's job is to be expendable and work for their masters regardless what the case is. So they go onto the island, which goes into the idea of chaos. They're trying to survive and try to go there and not necessarily work with shinobi and stuff. The people on there, they're saying, "Oh crap, you're going to try to kill them," because they're given secret orders. If you find any of the prisoners alive, execution them and retrieve the item. This anime shows the idea of feudalistic ideas of Japan. This idea of what paradise might seem could be, in fact, a living hell. That sometimes the most beautiful could be the most deadly or could be the most evil things. We tend to forget when we, like, say, in certain beliefs, where we portray like evil beings such as demons or devils or Lucifer or whatnot and have horns and ugly face and things, but we fail to realize what the lesson is. Sometimes something that is beautiful could be evil and could be the most deadly because you don't expect it. You think, oh, since it's gorgeous looking, therefore it must be good. And if it's ugly, therefore it must be evil. When necessarily that's not necessarily the case. Now here's my review. This anime is one of my favorite animes. I have it on my top 10, and it will be on probably on my top 10 unless something overtakes it, comes out before I do the top 10 in December. This anime shows the idea of what's pretty and what is ugly and what is things like that, and the ugly nature of humanity and what they will do to survive. This also shows the idea of the continuity of dualities of life, which is really done really well. This was also the idea of sexuality and ambiguity of a sexuality was done fairly well. The idea of friendship between man and women and so forth could be more than just okay physical relationship. This idea that what we will try to achieve in life and try to team up and what we could sacrifice, even though we could sacrifice more than what we were originally willing to do. This idea of hell and paradise could be interlinked. It's maybe hell is not necessarily as obvious looking as we think. Maybe it's a beautiful place, but a more evil and sinister and torturous place that is far worse than we can imagine because it has a pretty wrapper on it. This idea is what men will come through. If I would give this anime anything, it would be a 5 out of 5. Thank you.
Morning pages, thinking tea, dog-eared panels next to me, late night quests and chapter break.